In our previous class, we discussed about Faraday's experiment, coil and magnet experiment to demonstrate electromagnetic induction. Now let us discuss one more experiment to demonstrate the same electromagnetic induction. That means coil and coil experiment. Both coil and magnet experiment and coil experiments were conducted by Michael Faraday. In this coil and coil experiment, we come across two types. One is current induced by current and another one is current induced by changing current. Now let us discuss current induced by changing current little later. That means after this, first let us take up the current induced by current, which is one of the part of this coil and coil experiment. So in this experiment, as shown in the figure, there are two circular coils. This coil C1 is known as primary, okay, usually we call this as primary coil, whereas this C2 is known as secondary coil. See, the difference between primary and secondary may be in too many ways, maybe with respect to their size, area, number of turns. So all these are going to distinguish the primary coil and as well as secondary coil. Now the two coils are kept coaxially. Coaxial means having common axis for both the coils. The center of this coil should coincide with the center of this coil. So that is the meaning of coaxial. Okay, the centers of both the coils, if they lie along the same line, then the two coils are said to be placed coaxially. This primary coil is connected to a battery through a plug key, because we come across two types of key. One is plug key and another one is tap key. Of course, there is one more key known as reversing key, so that we are not going to use in this experiment. Now the secondary coil is connected to a current sensitive device known as galvanometer. Now what happens, as soon as we close the key, now the current starts flowing. That means current is drawn out from the battery by closing the key. Now this current starts flowing through the primary coil. When the current starts flowing through the primary coil, then a steady magnetic field means the magnetic lines of force are not going to change in number. Okay, so fixed amount of lines of force. So that is nothing but steady magnetic field is produced both inside the coil and also outside the coil, and we represent that magnetic field by means of magnetic lines of force. Now the magnetic lines of force gets linked with the secondary coil because the secondary is kept close to the primary coil. Say for example, if I assume this as primary coil, this ring as primary coil and this ring as secondary coil, the two coils should be kept coaxially like this. They should be kept close to each other, as close as possible, should not be kept separated too much. Now the secondary coil is kept at rest. Only thing is, after passing the current, we move the primary coil slowly towards the secondary coil. When we move the primary coil slowly towards the secondary coil, now the magnetic flux linking with the secondary coil changes. That means, though the number of magnetic lines of force remains same forward for this current, because of the motion of the primary coil, so the lines of force which are spreading out like this, that number linking with the secondary coil keeps changing in an increasing manner. So let us write that. So in the first case, when C1 is moved towards C2, which is at rest, okay, what happens to the magnetic flux? This goes on changing. Say for example, from 5 lines it may become 8 lines, then it may become 12 lines, 15 lines, 20 lines and so on. That means the flux linking with the secondary coil is continuously changing because of the motion of the primary coil towards secondary coil. As a result of that, what happens means in the secondary coil an EMF is induced. According to Lenz's law, the direction of the induced EMF or induced current is such that always opposes what? Always opposes the change that causes it. Here for the magnetic field to produce, what is necessary? Current. Flow of current produces the magnetic field. Motion of the coil changes the flux linking with the secondary coil, and that change in flux results in the induced current. So therefore, we can observe here, if the current in this coil is flowing in this direction, whereas according to Lenz's law now, the current in this coil will be opposite to that of this. Look here, I have written what I have written, the direction. You can see what? You can see the current here. If it is flowing like this in clockwise, here the current is said to be in anti-clockwise. Okay. So, whereas this one is nothing but an external circuit. So, this is an external circuit. So, it should be opposite to this. Again, in the coil, the direction of current, if it is upwards, here it will be in the downward direction. Now, what happens if the coil C1 which was brought up to what? Up to this position, if it is withdrawn away from C2. That means the C1 which is brought up to here, now slowly withdrawn away from C2. Once again, the magnetic flux linking with C2 changes, inducing an EMF again in the coil. But in the first case, you can notice the pointer in the galvanometer, it shows a momentary deflection, means temporary deflection. This deflection appears as long as you move C1 towards C2. If the motion of the coil C1 is stopped, then the deflection in the galvanometer becomes 0. Because as soon as you stop the motion of the coil, the magnetic lines of force linking with the coil C2 remains fixed. It is not going to change. Neither it is going to increase nor it is going to decrease. So that is why, since the fixed number of lines of force cannot produce any induced EMF or induced current, the motion of the coil C1 is very, very important to produce an induced EMF in C2. So that is why, while moving C1, suddenly if it is stopped, then no deflection is noticed. Now when they withdraw, in this, let us consider the second case. So in the first case, now the galvanometer shows deflection, shows momentary deflection in one direction. Momentary deflection in one direction. Okay. Now, let us consider the second case now. What is that second case? When C2 is moved away, when C1 is moved away from C2. Then what happens? Magnetic flux that goes on decreasing. 20 lines now may become 18 lines, 18 may become 15 lines. So 15 may become 10 lines, 10 lines may become 7 lines, and finally it may become 5, and finally 0. So that means in the first case, the flux is said to be increasing. Flux linking with the coil C2 is increasing, whereas in the second case, flux linking with the coil C2 is decreasing. Okay. Once again, what happens now when this C1 is withdrawn from C2? EMF is induced, but this time the galvanometer shows a deflection, momentary deflection in the opposite direction. Say for example, now the deflection will be, initially if the deflection is towards right, now the deflection will be towards left. So right side deflection can be noticed when C1 is moved towards C2. Left side deflection is noticed when C1 is withdrawn from C2. Okay. Now what happens to the direction of the induced current or induced EMF in C2? That should also change. So it will be like this now. Okay. So let us now remove this direction. So this will be the direction of induced current, so which is in accordance with Lenz's law. So that means here when we move C1 either towards C2 or if we withdraw C1 away from C2, in both the cases due to change of magnetic flux linking with C2, an EMF is induced in it. So the deflection in the galvanometer indicates that a current is induced in the coil, which demonstrates the electromagnetic induction. So let us write now the second part here. So what happens here? G shows deflection. G shows momentary deflection in opposite direction. Momentary deflection in opposite direction. Okay, here instead of using bar magnet, in place of bar magnet, we are using the coil to change the magnetic flux linking with the C2. See, that is one difference between the coil and magnet experiment as well as coil and coil experiment. Suppose if you want to increase the deflection in the galvanometer, then what should be done to increase the deflection in the galvanometer? Instead of moving only C1, move both C1 and C2 like this. C2 is kept at rest, C1 only is moved either like this or like this. But now to increase the deflection in the galvanometer, move both C1 and C2 towards each other or away from each other. So if we move towards or away from each other, then what happens? The deflection in the galvanometer is going to increase because the relative velocity when both the coils are moved towards each other or away from each other, it's going to increase, it's going to change. So that is one method of increasing the induced current or increasing the deflection in the galvanometer. When once the current increases, the deflection also increases. And secondly, how to increase the induced current or the deflection in the galvanometer? Increase the number of turns in the secondary coil. If we increase the number of turns in the secondary coil, then also the deflection can be increased. And one more method is there to increase the induced current or the deflection in the galvanometer. What does that means? Move both the coils either towards each other or away from each other fast. So if the motion is made fast, then induced current also increases, thereby deflection also increases. Because when we increase the speed of motion between the coil, what happens means more number of magnetic lines of force linking with the secondary coil changes. What does it mean? Let us know a bit about it. Suppose if only C1 is moved, then what happens means, say for example, in 1 second, if 10 lines or 100 lines of force, 100 lines of magnetic lines of force linking with the coil changes, then on moving both C1 and C2, in same time, 1 second, on moving both C1 and C2 either towards each other or away from each other bit fast, then in same 1 second, instead of 100 lines, let us say 200 lines of force linking with the secondary coil may change. So the time duration remains same, but the flux change is found to be large. So that is why large EMF is induced in the secondary coil when both C1 and C2 are moved towards each other or moved away from each other with certain speed. So this is how we can increase the induced current in the secondary coil. Now let us consider the second part of the second Faraday's experiment, coil and coil experiment. So what is the second part of the second experiment? Current induced by changing current, whereas the first one is current induced by current, that's all. So current induced by current, that is the first part, whereas in the second part it's nothing but current induced by changing the current. Here what we do means we change the current in the primary coil, whereas in the first part, that means current induced by current, we never used to change the current, we used to pass a fixed amount of current. Okay, but how do we change the current here? See, there are different methods. Either we can make use of a rheostat, or we can make use of a key known as tap key. Tap key means pressing key. So as long as you keep it pressed, till then the circuit gets completed. So this key works due to spring action. So it works based on spring action. So that is why it is considered as tap key. So if you want to close the circuit, we must keep it pressed. Whereas in plug key, it is not like that. There will be a plug. Simply if you insert the key, it is over. No need to press there. But here, you must keep it pressed like this. Okay. So by making use of tap key, we can change the current in the primary coil, or by making use of rheostat also, we can change the current. Now the primary and secondary, as usually, they are kept coaxially separated by certain distance. In this second part, we are going to keep both the coils at rest. Whereas in the previous experiment, we used to move C1 towards C2 by keeping C2 at rest. Either by moving C1 towards C2 or withdrawing or taking it away from C2, the flux linking with C2 used to get changed, provided when C2 is kept at rest. But in the second part, what we do means we keep both the coils at rest. So this coil will be also at rest and this coil will be also at rest. No need to move this to change the flux. We change the flux linking with the secondary coil by operating the tap key. Now what actually happens when you close the key? Say for example, if you just press the key, when it is closed, then what happens? Current starts flowing. So current starts flowing through the coil. But when key is closed, the current gradually increases in the coil C1. It increases from 0 to certain maximum value. As soon as you close the key, the current in the coil C1 goes on rising. Let us write. So when key is closed, current in which coil? Current in C1 increases from 0 to certain maximum value. Say for example, current in which coil? Current in the primary coil. From 0, the current may increase to 0.5 ampere, 0.5 may become 0.75, then it may become 1 ampere, then 1.5 ampere, then 1.75 ampere and 2 ampere. So maximum current, say for example, let us assume that maximum current to be passed through this coil is 2 ampere. Of course, we can pass any amount of current depending upon the strength or the capacity of the primary coil. Say for example, if you pass 2 amps of current, how? By closing the key, the current in the primary coil slowly builds up. Slowly means it is not going to take too much of time. Within a fraction of a second, so this change occurs. Rising from 0 to maximum will take place. As a result of this, the magnetic flux phi B linking with the secondary also increases. Flux linking with the secondary also increases. From 0, it may become 2 lines, 2 line may become 5 lines, then 5 line may become 8 lines, 8 may become now 15 lines, 15 may become 18 lines, 18 may become 20 lines. So this is how, this is just one rough value in which I am giving to explain how the current in the primary increases, thereby magnetic flux linking with secondary also increases. So this is how current increases gradually, thereby flux also increases. When the flux linking with C2 increases, then an EMF is induced in this secondary coil. You can notice the direction of the induced current. Once again, according to Lenz's law, it is opposite to the current that is flowing in which coil? Primary coil. Now suppose if the key is closed And another thing, one more thing is, when key is closed, because of induced current, if galvanometer shows momentary deflection in one direction, then when key is opened, the galvanometer should show momentary deflection in the opposite direction. Because what happens when key is opened? So if I release the key, so key is opened. Okay. When key is opened, let us not write the current in this coil. No current can flow. But the current which was maximum initially when key was closed, now starts decreasing from maximum to 0. So let us write that when key is opened, then current decreases from maximum value. How? Current from 2 ampere, now it may become 1.5 ampere, 1.5 may become 1.25, then 0.75 ampere, then it may become now 0.3 ampere, finally 0.1 ampere and 0. So this is how current from maximum of 2 amp decreases to 0. Thereby magnetic flux also decreases from maximum to 0. Say for example 20 lines now may become 18 lines, 18 lines may become 14 lines, then it may become now 9 lines, then it may become 5 lines, 3 lines, then finally 0. So once again now the magnetic flux linking with the secondary coil is changing in a decreasing manner. Key closed, current increases, flux linking with secondary also increases, inducing an EMF in one direction, thereby galvanometer shows deflection in one direction. When key is open, current in the primary coil decreases from maximum to 0, thereby magnetic flux linking with the secondary also decreases from maximum to 0, inducing an EMF in the opposite direction, opposite to that of the current that is produced when key is closed. Now as a result of this, once again the galvanometer shows a momentary deflection in which direction? Opposite direction, because so the entire thing gets reversed. So the direction of the current gets reversed, induced current, and it is in accordance with the Lenz law. So this may be the direction of the induced current. So this is how we can demonstrate the electromagnetic induction. See, the deflection in the galvanometer suggests that or indicates that a current is induced. And here remember, the secondary coil is not connected to any source of current. The source of current is used only in primary. So only primary is connected to the source of current. Which is the source of current here? Battery. Okay. So secondary coil is not at all connected to any such current source, but still we are able to produce the current in the secondary coil just because of change of flux. So that is the peculiarity or beauty of this experiment. And this is also known as mutual induction. Why means, what is meant by mutual induction means, because we come across two types of electromagnetic induction. One is self-induction and another one is mutual induction. In case of self-induction, we produced induced current in one single coil. By changing the current in one single coil, we are able to produce induced current in the same coil. Whereas in case of mutual induction, by changing the current in one coil, an EMF is induced in the another coil, and this phenomenon of producing an EMF in one coil by changing the current in another coil is known as mutual induction. So we discuss this a little later. So, but let us know that there exist or we consider usually two types of electromagnetic induction. One is self-induction and another one is mutual induction. In self-induction only one coil is used, whereas in mutual induction two coils are used. Now how to increase the deflection in the secondary coil? All that you need to do is, since we are not moving the coil, both the coils are kept at rest. So to increase the deflection, one of the possible ways, make and break should be fast. That means close the key, open the key, make it fast. So just like this. So if make and break, we also call this as make and break. Make the circuit, break the circuit. What is meant by make the circuit? Make the circuit means closing the key. What is meant by break the circuit? Break the circuit means opening the key. So break the flow of current, that is the meaning of break the circuit. Okay? Make the circuit. Make the circuit means make the current to flow. Make the current to flow, that is make the circuit. Then break the flow of current, that is nothing but breaking the circuit. So if closing and opening, that means make and break. Make means close, break means open. If make and break is made very fast, then what happens means the flux change in secondary coil takes place in large quantity. As a result of that, a larger EMF is induced in the secondary coil, thereby deflection in the galvanometer also increases. So this is one method of increasing the induced current or induced EMF. How? By increasing the make and break. And the second method or another method of increasing the induced current is once again increase the number of turns. In which coil? In the secondary coil. If we increase the number of turns in the secondary coil, then also what happens means a large EMF is induced. Large EMF is induced in which coil? In the secondary coil. And one more method, that means third method. All that we need to do is, if we just keep one iron rod inserted through both the coils all along their axis. So along their axis like this, if I insert one iron rod right from this coil, let us write this. Say for example, I am going to insert one iron rod through both the coils like this. If I insert the iron rod through both the coils, then also what happens means the magnetic flux linking with the secondary changes in an increasing manner, thereby inducing a large EMF. Inserting one iron rod, what it does? It is going to increase the permeability. Okay, when permeability increases, permeability increasing means the magnetic lines of force, instead of diverging away from the secondary coil, all the magnetic lines of force used to concentrate inside the rod. When all the magnetic lines of force concentrate inside the rod, the field becomes strong. So that's the meaning of increasing the permeability. So when permeability gets increased, then certainly the induced EMF also increases. So these are the methods. First method, make and break should be fast. Secondly, increase the number of turns. Thirdly, by inserting one iron rod through both the coils all along their axis. So far we studied about induced EMF. What is meant by induced EMF? The EMF induced in a closed circuit whenever it is kept in a changing magnetic flux or changing magnetic field is known as induced EMF. Here let us know about motional EMF. Then what is meant by motional EMF? If induced EMF is the EMF induced either in a conductor or in a closed circuit when kept in a changing magnetic field, then motional EMF is nothing but EMF induced in a conducting rod when it is moved in an uniform magnetic field. So when conductor is moved in a uniform magnetic field, not in a changing magnetic field, the space between any two marks remains to be same. That is why we call this as uniform magnetic field. Okay. But the direction of the magnetic field is directed out. It is directed perpendicular to the plane of the board or plane of the figure inwards like this. Because cross mark indicates always field directed perpendicular inwards. Perpendicular inwards. Whereas dot mark represents the magnetic field perpendicular directed outwards. But in this case, we have made use of uniform field directed inwards perpendicular to the plane of the board or the figure. In such a uniform magnetic field, If I move one conducting rod like this, then the magnetic field linking with this conductor changes. As a result of that, an EMF is induced in it, and this EMF is known as motional EMF. Why it is called as motional EMF? Means EMF is generated only when the conductor is moved. If the conductor or the rod is kept stationary without moving, no EMF is induced. It should be moved. So only during motion EMF is induced. That is why we call this as motional EMF. So EMF induced in a conducting rod when moved in an uniform magnetic field, not varying magnetic field, but it is uniform magnetic field. Whereas in case of induced EMF, we vary the magnetic field. Okay. Now let us derive an expression for the EMF that is induced in the conductor when it is moved in an uniform magnetic field. Here, as shown in the figure, I am going to consider one rectangular loop. PQRS is one rectangular loop. In this rectangular loop, only the rod PQ is movable. So we can slide the rod PQ over this rectangular loop. We can slide it over this rectangular loop. So let us consider. So PQRS is nothing but rectangular loop. Okay. B is nothing but uniform magnetic field. So this is nothing but uniform magnetic field B, directed inwards. Then let L be the length of the rod. L be the length of the rod PQ, which is movable. Okay. Now suppose when the rod is initially at this position, then the magnetic flux enclosing the area of the loop. See, this is the area of the loop. So this is the amount of flux that encloses within the area of this loop. Whereas if the rod is moved towards left side with a uniform velocity, let us say, let V be the uniform velocity. If the rod is brought from this position to this position, then what happens? The area, initially the rod was supposed to be here. Large area encloses the large magnetic flux. When the rod is moved and brought to this position, only small area encloses small amount of magnetic flux. That means when the rod is moved from one position to another position, the magnetic flux enclosing the area goes on decreasing, because since area itself decreases, the flux enclosing with this loop, enclosing with the area of the loop also decreases. Then once the flux enclosing with the area of the loop decreases, as we move the rod from one position to another position, then because of this change in flux, an EMF is induced. EMF is induced in the rod. And as a result of that EMF, current also starts flowing through the rod, because it is a closed circuit. Over this U-shaped rectangular frame, if we keep one rod, then the circuit is said to be closed. If we remove the rod PQ, then the circuit is said to be open. When circuit is said to be open, no EMF. When the circuit is said to be closed, then only EMF and as well as current are induced. So let us consider like this. Let V be the velocity of the rod moved towards left side. Okay. Now when the rod is moved like this, at any moment or at any instant of time, what is the flux enclosed by the loop? Let us write that. magnetic flux enclosing or magnetic flux linking with the loop at any instant when the rod is moved is given by phi equal to B into A into cos theta. Suppose if this is the flux enclosing the area of the loop at any instant when the rod is moved towards left side, then what will be the angle theta? Theta is the angle between the direction of the magnetic field B and the area vector. Now what is the direction of the magnetic field? Direction of the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the figure inwards. Okay. Every cross mark represents one magnetic line of force. Since the distance between any two cross mark remains to be same, we consider this field as uniform. If this is the direction of magnetic field, then how will be the area vector? Area vector is a vector which is drawn to the surface of this loop in which direction? In outward direction. Since I consider the field like this, inwards, I can draw the area vector in any direction, either like this, outwards from the surface of this loop, or like this. Suppose if this is the loop, area vector can be drawn away from what? Away from the loop, either in this direction or away from the loop, either in this direction. That means towards back side. Only thing is the direction of area vector must be away. It may be like this or it may be like this, but it should not be like this. It should not be towards. So since area vector is also away from the loop and magnetic field is also directed like this inwards away from the loop, both area vector and the magnetic field are found to be parallel to each other. When they are parallel to each other, then theta becomes equal to 0. So let us write that. So but theta equal to 0 degree, since area vector A and the magnetic field B are parallel to each other. Okay. Then if that is the case, what happens to phi? Phi is nothing but B into A into cos 0, which is nothing but B into A. Because cos 0 is equal to 1. So this is nothing but B into A. What is A? I can consider A as the area of the loop. Because if this represents magnetic field B, then what is the area of the loop in which I am going to consider? Let A be the area of the loop. So but A equal to, how do you find the area of the loop? It is a rectangular loop. Therefore area of rectangle means length into breadth. What is the length in which you have to consider? The length of the rod is nothing but L. So when it is moved from one position to another position, say for example, I move the rod right from here to here, so that the distance covered is nothing but x, I say. Okay. So the breadth of this loop is taken as x. Length of this loop is taken as L, which is equal to length of the rod. So if I move the rod with a uniform velocity right from this position to this position, so the total displacement or the total distance moved from here to here is nothing but equal to x. So length L into breadth. So length of the loop and breadth of the loop, that gives the area. So this is equal to L into x, which is nothing but area of the rectangular loop. Area of the rectangular loop. So what is x here? Don't forget, where x equal to displacement or distance covered by the rod PQ. PQ. Now if I substitute this in this equation, then what happens to phi? Phi equal to B into, for A I can substitute L into X, because L into X means it is nothing but Lx. So this is the flux that links with the loop at any instant of time. But according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, what is the magnitude of the induced EMF due to the motion of the rod? Only I consider magnitude. Magnitude of EMF induced in the rod is given by E equal to modulus of d phi b by dt. So I am considering only the magnitude, therefore I have written d phi b by dt or d phi, because we have made use of only phi. So d phi by dt inside the modulus sign to avoid the negative sign. Suppose if I do not use the modulus sign, then how can I write this EMF? E equal to minus d phi by dt, where negative sign indicates the direction of induced EMF is such that it always opposes the change of flux. So that is the meaning of negative sign. So just to avoid the negative sign, I consider only magnitude. To represent the magnitude of the flux change, I write that inside modulus sign. Let us substitute for this now. So this is equal to, now what do we get if we substitute for this phi equal to B into L into X. So d by dt of, for phi I can write B into L into X. Then what do we get for this? Suppose if I take out B and L outside, then it will be dx by dt. So B and L I take it outside, so dx by dt. But what is dx by dt? Dx by dt is nothing but rate of change of displacement, which is nothing but velocity. So what do we get here? If I substitute for dx by dt is equal to v, which is nothing but velocity of the rod, then this equation now becomes equal to E equal to B into L. What is dx by dt? Dx by dt is nothing but equal to V. So this is nothing but the EMF that is induced in the rod, and this EMF is nothing but motional EMF. From this it is very clear that the motional EMF depends on what? Depends on the length of the loop and the velocity in which this rod is moved, and also the magnitude of the magnetic field. We come across two types of electromagnetic induction. One is known as self-induction and another one is known as mutual induction. Let us discuss first what is meant by mutual induction, and let us also explain its theory. Suppose if I consider two coils, cylindrical shaped coils known as solenoids. One coil is known as primary, whose ends are connected to a battery and as well as tap key. So the two ends, this is one end of the coil, this is another end of the coil. So the two ends of the coil are connected in series with the battery and as well as tap key. Tap key means pressing key. Whereas the two ends of the secondary coil are connected to a current sensitive device known as galvanometer. Now, before knowing what is meant by mutual induction, first let us explain about this diagram, then we will come to know what is meant by mutual induction at the end. Now suppose if the two coils are kept close to each other, remember the two coils are well insulated from each other, the two coils are not in contact, a small space, a small gap is left between the two coils. Say for example, I consider two coils like this. See, this is nothing but, let us consider this as the primary coil and this as the secondary coil. Okay, so the primary coil the two ends of the primary coil, these two ends of the primary coil are connected to battery and as well as tap key in series. Whereas the secondary coil two ends, this end and this end are connected to the two terminals of a galvanometer. Now the two coils are kept very close to each other like this. Okay, so there will be small air gap or air space between the two coils. Now after keeping the two coils like this, if I now close the key, then what happens? Just on closing the key, current starts flowing through the primary coil. When the current starts flowing through the primary coil, now the magnetic flux that is produced in the primary, that means the magnetic field that is produced inside the primary coil is going to encircle the secondary coil also. Since secondary is kept very close to primary, the magnetic field that is produced in primary coil is going to encircle or it is going to cover up the secondary also. Say for example, if I represent these concentric circles as the magnetic lines of force, also known as magnetic flux phi B. So this magnetic flux now goes on increasing when key is closed. So when key is closed, what happens? The flux linking with secondary coil goes on increasing. As a result of that, in the secondary coil, an EMF is induced. The direction of the induced EMF is such that it always opposite to the change that causes it. Now, what is the cause for the production of EMF in the secondary coil? EMF means induced EMF or induced current. The cause for the production of induced EMF or induced current is nothing but the change in the current that is flowing in the primary coil. So, therefore, the direction of induced EMF should be opposite to the current, because the change in the current is responsible in changing the flux. Because of change of flux, EMF is induced. Therefore, this EMF should oppose the flow of current. So, if the current flows in the primary in this direction, whereas the induced current in the secondary will be in the opposite direction. So, that is why the direction of induced EMF is written like this. If the current in the primary is towards right side, it keeps flowing like this, turn by turn. From one end to another end, it keeps flowing turn by turn from left to right. Whereas the current induced in the secondary keeps flowing turn by turn from this side to this side, that means from right side to left side. So this is how the direction of induced EMF is opposite to the current, obeying the Lenz's law. Now let us write this. When K is closed means what? Make the circuit. Make the circuit means what? Make the primary circuit. Primary circuit means circuit with respect to primary coil. Secondary circuit means circuit with respect to secondary coil. Now what happens? The magnetic flux in the secondary coil, I write this as S. S stands for secondary. First of all, as soon as we close the key, current in the primary goes on increasing. Say for example, current start increasing like this, 0.25 ampere. Already explained this. Let us once again recall the same. 0.5 ampere, now it may become 1 ampere, 1 ampere may become 1.5 ampere, now 1.8 ampere, and finally 2 ampere. So the maximum current in which I would like to pass through the primary coil, let us assume that is equal to 2 ampere. So as soon as you close the key, the current goes on increasing from 0. So from 0 to certain maximum value. As a result of that, the flux that is linking with the secondary. Remember, we are passing the current through the primary, but we consider the flux change in secondary. Flux change also takes place in primary, but we do not consider the flux change with respect to primary, since we are discussing the mutual induction. If we discuss self-induction, then we consider the flux change with respect to that single coil itself. So since there are two coils, though the flux change is both in primary coil and secondary coil, here we need to consider flux change only in secondary, whereas the current change in primary. So that is why if current changes in primary, then the flux change in secondary takes place in such a way that 0 may become now 5 lines, 5 lines may become 8 lines, 8 lines may become 13 lines, so 13 may become 15 lines and 18 lines, finally 20 lines. Up to 2 ampere, the magnetic lines of force, that means the magnetic flux linking with the secondary, may keep increasing from 0 to maximum along with the increase of current. When once the flux change takes place in secondary, then what happens means an EMF is induced in the secondary. Now, EMF is induced in which coil? Induced in secondary. So, the secondary coil is represented by S, whereas the primary coil, so primary circuit means primary coil, it is represented by P. So, your secondary is represented by S. Now, what happens to the galvanometer? Galvanometer shows a momentary deflection in one direction. Okay. Now, suppose when K is opened, suppose if key is released, instead of pressing, if it is released, so K open. What happens to the current that is flowing in the primary? The current which was initially at maximum value, 2 ampere, now it starts decreasing. So, when K is opened, and we call this as break the circuit, that means break the primary circuit. So, when we break the primary circuit, what happens means current in the primary decreases from maximum 2 ampere may become now 1.8 ampere, then it may become 1.5 ampere, then it may become 1 ampere to 0.75 ampere, then 0.65 ampere. Like this it goes on decreasing, 0.5 ampere. Finally, that current may become equal to how much? 0. So, that current may become equal to 0. Okay. So, once again what happens along with the current, now the magnetic flux linking with the secondary also decreases. So, flux linking with the secondary decreases. That means 20 lines may now decrease to 18 lines, 18 may decrease to 14 lines, 14 may decrease to 10, 10 may decrease to now around 7 lines, 7 lines may decrease to 5 lines, 5 lines to 3 lines, and finally 0. So, now when K is open, no need to write the direction of current in the primary coil. Okay. Now, once again, there will be deflection in the secondary coil due to the decrease of magnetic flux linking with the secondary. If current is decreasing in primary, flux linking with both primary and secondary decreases, but we consider the decrease of flux only with respect to secondary, not with respect to primary. So, when flux change takes place in a decreasing manner in secondary, EMF is induced, but this time the induced EMF is opposite to the direction of the EMF that is induced during make. Suppose if this is the direction of induced EMF during make, now what will be the direction of induced EMF during break? Means the direction of induced EMF during break, it will be like this. So, E break. Now, as a result of this, the galvanometer shows momentary deflection once again in the opposite direction. So, G shows deflection, G galvanometer shows deflection in opposite direction. So, here what is happening? We are changing the current in the primary. As a result of that, flux change takes place in secondary. Due to this, an EMF is induced in the secondary, and this phenomenon is known as mutual induction. So what is meant by mutual induction? Between a pair of coil, mutual induction between a pair of coil is nothing but EMF induced in one coil due to change of current in another coil. Okay, don't say that mutual induction of a coil, because we are not using single coil. When we are using two coils, we have to say like this: mutual induction of a pair of coil, or between a pair of coil we have to say. So we should not say like this: mutual induction of a coil, because two coils are used. So this is the definition of mutual induction between a pair of coil. The phenomenon of producing an induced EMF in one coil, that means induced EMF in secondary, due to change of current in another coil. Another coil means it is nothing but primary. Producing induced EMF in one coil means secondary. So producing an EMF in secondary due to change of current in another coil means primary is known as mutual inductance between a pair of coil. So that is what I said in the beginning. I told that the definition of mutual induction will be known at the last, only after explaining what actually the mutual induction is. Now we explained the mutual induction and we came to know what actually the mutual induction is.